up, y'all? I've been gearing up. This is my second to last day off work before Paracarnival. Some girls on a trailer. Hey, y'all. Funny. I don't know who that is. Two girls on a trailer getting pulled behind a Yukon. But you know, there's a lot of these things that you really can't really pack for till it's time to go. Maybe I don't have as much to do as I think that I have to do. All this stuff that's growing in the background, I know it looks weak in this GoPro, but I've got that 4K going up there on top of these oil tanks. I'm taking a time lapse. Still on, still banging off pictures. Got incoming. I'm not supposed to be on these tanks, so I'm gonna duck down. Looks like it's my wife. So I think I may just post up here in the shade and do some of the Q&A answers. See what we got. That was earlier today. I'm curious. I hadn't looked at any of the notifications yet. So I'm about to burn through them on here and see what we're looking at. Vidyas, as Hank Hill says. Me and Hank Hill agree on a lot of things. Go down here to the comments section. Let's see what's up. Matt, you used to shoot competitively. What sport and why did you stop? Started with IDPA, went to USPSA, and that's pistol, action pistol, where you run through obstacle courses and shoot targets. And then I switched over to 3-gun, pistol, rifle, shotgun, action shooting. Quit because I had a shoulder injury. Couldn't hold the gun up without it being painful anymore. Picked up other hobbies such as paramotoring and just sort of went from there. Things change as they change. But yeah, I still shoot and hunt regularly. Are you the only guy in your town that has a paramotor? As far as I know, I am. I've never flown in clouds. It must be an amazing feeling. It is. That's not a question, but all right. Vigil says, hey Kyle, I got a couple questions for you. I always hear flying in clouds is illegal, but I never hear why. I have an idea, but I don't feel like Googling it. Can you expand on the subject for me? Also, I hear that P1, P2, and P3 certifications are not necessary to be able to fly PPG. Are there any advantages besides training education when it comes to having these certs? Well, Vigil, let's see, expand on the subject of flying in clouds is illegal. It's illegal unless you're under an instrument flight plan flight and an aircraft that's certified for instrument flight. In this country, that's the only way that you can fly through a cloud. In Class G airspace and in Bravo airspace, you can fly clear of clouds, which means you can't go into them, but you can go next to them. P1, P2, P3, those are certifications handed out by the USPA, the United States Hang Gliding Paragliding Association. Show that you've taken tests and you've demonstrated skill, and it's mainly for insurance purposes at certain launch locations. That's a huge thing with landowners. Most of these mountaintops and valleys where we take off and land are usually owned by someone who may not be a pilot. And these things are important for them to have, you know, the proper people up there doing the activity in case there's an accident. You know, it's America. We got insurance companies, man, and they want to run everything. So on that, but that's the reason why. Lawyers, politicians, and insurance companies are the reason you got to have a P1, P2, or P3 in the United States of America. But I see the merit in it. I'm a P3. I was very proud when I earned that. That was nice, but that's just a license to learn. Once you get your P3, then it all kind of starts. Then you're making decisions on your own, and you're, you know, testing the waters more and more for yourself. So that's kind of turning you loose into the wild as a fledgling when you get that P3 rating. Oh, are they necessary? Yeah, these things aren't necessary, but again, if you want to be insured with the landowners on rated sites, then yes. How fast can the paramotor go at full throttle, like in miles per hour? Coda, that's basically determined by the headwind. Throttle and the thrust on your engine has nothing to do with how fast you go. Only the wing. The wing flies at trim speed. Now, if you have no throttle, you're flying at trim speed, gliding down. At full throttle, you're flying at trim speed, gliding up. Can't overspeed the glider, I guess, but yeah, it's a common misconception. The motor does not determine speed, it's the wing. The motor, a bigger thrust will give you an increased climb rate. It'll increase that angle and you will climb faster. What made you start doing a regular YouTube channel? That's from Jerry in BC, Canada. Hey, Jerry. I don't know, man. I've had a YouTube channel for a while. We used to film ourselves shooting competition shooting videos. And just as with paramotoring, video was equally as useful for filming what we were doing, shooting these stages. We go through, they'd have things set up, little courses that you had to shoot. And we started paring down things like what foot to step off with to get to the next spot to shoot was faster. If it saved you 1/10 of a second, that was a move that I made. It was a big strategy deal. But reviewing these videos really helped with that. And It also helps with the, still taking pictures, storm's still growing. But the YouTube channel was born so that we could share these videos with each other and post them on forums. You know, catch reviews like, why did I fumble this reload? What was I doing wrong? It's equally as helpful when you're talking about paragliding and paramotoring. That's a huge tip for any of you new guys that come on the forums asking questions. When I pull my wing up, when do I let go of my A's? Blah, blah, blah. Man, everybody forms an image in their mind about what's going on, and it may be way off, man. You may have your wing strapped in upside down for all we know. Post a video of it, and I'm sure lots of people will give you a lot of bullshit over that, and a lot of people will probably make fun of you, and then there's going to be probably half the people will give you honest answers and really try to help you out, give you good coaching advice from experienced eyes. So don't be scared of the other crew. Just you know, sort through the answers. All right, Nate asked, just getting into PPG and struggling with Neil wind launches. Any tips? You got to commit, Nate. You got to commit on the inflation and then make a smooth transition to the launch run. You can't stop and you can't delay it. Adding power really, really helps. You can inflate the wing without power. About the time the wing gets to the top, you really need to be rolling on the throttle and letting that motor start pushing your speed. And after that, it's just running, man. Just run until you're churning air. I mean, you know the technique, you've had it in your training. If you've done launches, you've done Neil wind launches. They're just longer and faster. So yeah, practice, man. Lots and lots of practice is what's going to get you where you need to be. What's up, Bob C? Kyle, would like to see a video with info using the trim and when not to. Is it proper to use on takeoff and when flying low? How much trim do you take off with, if any? A good portion of that depends on the wing that you're flying, the technique that you use, the conditions that are going on. I unanimously, unless it's so strong, like down at the beach or something, that a little trim out would, big wing, I'm lightly loaded, I might let trims out to speed it up a bit if I'm in a strong wind condition. I always take off with trims in, full in, because I mean, I fly the Hadron XX, the Hadron, old Muse 3 I had trims. Almost always, like 99% of the time, trims full in. And again, a lot of that's specifically determined by the glider. If I'm maneuvering, doing hard maneuvers or acro, it's trims full in. I feel like I got the most control in the wing with the trims full in. I've done it with full trims out too. I don't know. We should probably do a flying video and do some moves, trims in, trims out, you know, see what the differences are, turn rates and such. Always take off trims in. Now landing usually trims in. Again, if it's conditions are, you know, warrant they're out, or I want to do some sort of high-speed foot drag landing, I'll let the trims out almost as a novelty. You know, every now and then I do it just because, but it's not necessary. You know, the wing I fly has a lot of energy with trims full in. I mean, unless I just want to do this searing toe drag or something like that. I know some wing manufacturers recommend trims neutral when you take off. If you're having trouble inflating the wing, that helps you inflate it a little better. But if you're having trouble running the wing, if you're losing it after the inflation, you may want to pull trims in. Trims in will make the inflation a lot more sluggish, but the takeoff will be quicker. Trims out will make the inflation go really fast. It'll make it really easy. You know, it'll come up, it'll shoot up, but then the glider's going fast, so it might want to overfly you a little, but that's something to think about. All right, so when you use the catheter thing on long XC flights, do you run the P-tube down your leg out by your foot? Do you have to go idle when you let a piss rip so you don't splatter it all over the prop? Matt Johnson. These are important questions, man. Well, Matt, typically I don't fly with a P-tube on a paramotor, unless, the only time I'm really doing that is if I'm doing motor off thermal cross-country flying or just paragliding cross-country flying, because you don't really have the opportunity to land and take a whiz and then take back off like you do with a motor. So yeah, usually the motor's off. I try to pee at the top of a thermal on glide, so I'm not working the thermal. I have a pair of pants. They have the zipper legs where you can turn them into shorts. I run my P-tube out about my kneecap, the Yellow Rain.
You just let it fall to the ground?
Yeah, I pee on the ground. Has your oldest son expressed any interest yet for you to start training him? Any plans down the road to open your own training school? Thanks. Tim, that thought has crossed my mind often. I would hate to take something I love so much and turn it into a job, but I'm sure that it would be a rewarding experience to train someone. I don't know, there's no doubt in my mind I could. I don't have a USPPA certification. There's no reason in my mind to think that I couldn't train somebody to fly a paramotor. You know, I was a teacher for several years, loved it, loved teaching, was told that I was a good teacher. So I don't know if they tell everybody that or not, but a lot of people told me I was a good teacher and took that to heart. I don't know. My oldest son, no desire in the least. And the way that he does. So guys, yeah, love him to death. He's one of a kind. The little one, Ian, he's about to die, and I made a deal with him that when he got to 100 pounds in weight, that I would get him a glider and would teach him how to paraglide and paramotor. If we had to build him a little paramotor, we would do that too. That is the plan, and he's about 5 pounds away from it, and he's been like double downing on supper so that he can hit it. He's really itching to get up. I'm kind of looking forward to teaching him. We'll progress him as is necessary. He's young. He's 10 years old. There are children that have been younger. It's all about the maturity level and the decisions they make, just as any good pilot. Kids learn stuff quick, man, and they'll pick up on it. No doubt in my mind, he'll be a better pilot than me. Kind of looking forward to it. That would be pretty neat for old dad here. And then Smart Traylock TV says, can you better clarify Class G airspace? And what altitude do you commonly fly at? Thanks. No, I can't better clarify it. It's very cut and dry in the FARs. It's either 1,200 feet or 700 feet above ground level. At least in my area. It changes a little bit when you go up to around 10,000 feet close to mountains when you have really high terrain, but look it up for your local area. It's anything that's not A, B, C, D, or E airspace. That's it. Caught up on questions and answers for the time being. Raven says, when do you want me and my crew to come down and fly? 4 of us. Man, give me a heads up. I guess let's do it after Paracarnival. Check the weather. Look when the weather's good. Down to fly with anybody that wants to come fly. Heck yeah, you know me. Q&A, I'd like to know what's the scariest paramotor flight that you ever had and what happened during that flight? Red wasp, red wasp. Woo-hoo-hoo, get back, you fucker. I hate red wasp. Circling me for the kill, man. One time I took off from Gillum Airport and I'd had some breakfast and some coffee and no telling what I had for supper the night before. And I got up there and I felt some gas, and so I let out a little fart, and it, instantly tensed me up. Like, was that a fart? Man, I got so scared that I had just shit in my pants, and I couldn't feel it because the motor was vibrating, and it's impossible to tell if you shit in your pants when you're flying a paramotor. Just try it sometime and you'll see what I'm talking about. Scared me the whole flight, man. I flew around for 15 or 20 minutes because the air was butter and beautiful and loved it. Can't really get out of the chair and check. As soon as I landed and touched down, it was false alarm. I was fine. Everything was good. That was the scariest flight I ever had. Fabio Gullman. Hey Kyle, if you post some of your stuff that you're packing on the next journey. Yeah, I'm bringing my paramotor gear, clothes, food, gasoline. I may throw a pistol in there somewhere. There are about 50 active serial killers in the United States at any point. T. Kimsey 23. Thought you might try to explain what goes into deciding the right paramotor and wing combo. One's not going to be as useful for one mission as one might be for the next. You don't want to take a 1983 Datsun on the Baja 500. Wrong tool for the job. Motor consideration. I like electric start, portability, ease of use. It's like having a small wallet versus a big old purse. As far as what wings, some people like to get more stable wings. I like faster wings. Stability, they're all pretty damn stable. Fly what's right for you. If you're a great old big dude, you need a great old big motor. Medium to small dude, a medium to small motor would suffice. I'm not a brand fanboy or anything. There's several that I like. There's new stuff coming out that I want to try that may be the best butter you ever put on the toast. Question 1, what's your favorite wing and why? The one I'm flying. Favorite wing that I own? The original Hadron 26 and the Hadron XX 22. Oh man, I love both those wings a lot. But I've given serious consideration to selling the Hadron 26. It's still a good wing. There's a lot of good life left in that wing. I've taken care of it. While we're on question and answer stuff, I gotta ask, who is the person that keeps giving me a thumbs down on almost all my videos? I never thumbs down anything. I just can't figure that out. Is it something I'm doing? Is it me that you don't like? Who is it? Somebody's watching them, I guess, and thumbs downing them. I feel like it's one person. You can't tell who's doing it, but somebody out there doesn't like Kylo videos. Wish I could say I'm sorry, but I'm not. Style of wing will be your next. Son of a gunnin', I am going to buy an Ozone Delta 3. large. Already made the deal. We're just waiting on the thing to come into the country. And it's a free flight wing. It's for free flight paragliding. Question 3. Anyway, you can put a good word in with the fellas at Aviator. Get me some training sooner than 18 months. Sure. Hey, Eric, Travis, son of a gun and needs in early. They'll probably watch this. Friend told me yesterday in this flight that I was still illegal because you couldn't see the strobe from a full 360 degrees. Thoughts? My thoughts are you should probably look that up in the FARs. I've set mine up to see from 360 degrees because that's a safety thing. Whether it's a legality, that's something I can't tell you off the top of my head. What damage, if any, have you done to your gear? This is from James Campbell. What all damage have I done? 18th flight, Fresh Breeze had a real skimpy dimpy kick-in bar, and I pushed on it hard and it broke. And it flung back into the prop, and it's a metal bar inside that kick-in strap. And that metal bar hit the prop, and it folded that paramotor. It beat all 4 of the sections, broke the propeller, mangled it in about 2 flips of the propeller. 2 or 3 months later, and then I slipped in some mud. The wind swept around and knocked the wing where I lost lift. I come down like that, and the prop bit into the left side of the cage, exploded that propeller, man. Wood propellers explode when they hit. I butt landed at the golf course in Haynesville. I left 2 streaks on the tee box there on number 9. Didn't see the ground coming because it was too dark between the trees there at that golf course. Yeah, you lose your depth perception in the dark with no lights. That lesson was driven home that time. Put a little super glue trick on the prop, and then I restrung that cage section. I had the thing fixed in maybe 15 minutes. The Nitro 200, I was doing a wingtip touch. I banged the bottom right of my cage onto the ground. I busted a prop tip and banged a piece of netting. Who's better with a firearm, Tom Cruise or Keanu Reeves? James, that's most definitely Keanu Reeves, because my buddy Taryn Butler trained him out there in California to shoot combat pistol stuff. And Taryn is a freaking wizard. Look him up, Taryn Butler. Sweet Jesus! Have you tried an electric paramotor yet? Would you convert if a battery allowed 4 hours of flight time? I don't know, man. If I liked it, maybe. I would try it first. I don't know, man. That's a lot of damn energy on my back with batteries. Have you ever seen a battery short? Whew, man, that might produce a little thrust of its own, if you know what I mean. Could be hairy scary. I'm gonna wait on the electric paramotors just a bit. They're not quite where I want it yet. I like burning gasoline. Burning gasoline and gunpowder are some of my favorite activities. What are some of those top 5 flights of all time? Wow, man. Yeah, I don't know where the actual ranks are. I've had some epic free flights, man. Some cool stuff down in Colombia, you know, flying through the mountains, you know, being with 80 paragliders in a gaggle going up a thermal like an elevator, and there's just people all over the sky. 2 or 3 of the flights were those, man, down in Colombia. I've had some pretty epic motor flights where I just had butter sky and foot dragged the entire North Louisiana countryside, and then ran out of gas as I was foot dragging till the bitter end, and laughed and called the airport manager right out there and picked me up where I was at. You know, the one from the other night out here flying through these clouds, you know, when it was all smooth, good, legal conditions to do it in. That was pretty epic. I don't know, the first time I really committed to doing acro, going for big wing overs, feeling what I needed to feel and have that aha moment where it was just a revelation. I can freaking do this. I can do anything I want to do with this glider now. Those are some pretty intense memories that I have of flying. You know, the list goes on and on, man. Some of them are probably tied for 4th, 5th, 6th, I don't know, top 5 of all time. Some of those, man, some of those. How do you define clear of clouds? Brian Visser, I would say not going inside of the clouds. That would be clear of clouds. That's my definition. Patrick asked, was it bumpy at all near those clouds? No. I have a Mac Paracharger 23 wing for my paramotor. If I want to give free flying a shot, you have a free flight harness you would recommend? Patrick, I don't have a lot of experience with free flight harnesses. I started with an Advanced Progress 2, and I still have that harness. I've been flying it for years. It's very comfortable. I really have no comparison. I've never sat in another free flight harness, so I don't know. Now, I'm fixing to upgrade sometime in the next month to a pod harness. When I go out to Salt Lake City, I'm gonna meet up with the man himself, Chris Santa Croce, and I'm gonna do some demos, man. I'm gonna sit in some harnesses, do some hang checks, and find me a pod harness that fits the bill. Would you ever consider setting altitude record for a paramotor? I don't know, man. If somebody sponsored me and bought all the gear that I would need to attempt an altitude record, I'm game. Acceptable weather parameters, as do most aviation questions, there's a lot of variables there. You know, what glider am I flying? What type of flight am I doing? Cross-country, motor off, thermal flying. It's got to be a booming thermal day. It's got to be cranking. If it's around 1,000 feet per minute up, I don't particularly like. That air is kind of where I've drawn the line at this point. Been a while though since I've even been in air like that, so I may can handle that or more now. I'm not sure. I've hit 900 up sustained a couple of times, and it was enough to pucker me up. Pretty bouncy that day. It was something. Thunderstorm, is there a gust front? Those things are in my area and would be close enough to cause damage. Then I ain't doing that either. At the beach, the strongest wind I've flown in is 16 miles an hour sustained. That was a strong wind. I could probably handle more. If I had a smaller wing, more heavily loaded, trimmers out, I could probably do a little more. I don't know. I would probably not fly anything over 20 unless it was just butter smooth 20. You know, it would have to be perfectly crisp air, perfectly laminar. I might would grab that if I found some of that. Don't worry about other pilots, man. Don't worry about it. You are the pilot. You pick your weather. Just don't even worry if there's anybody else making decisions. You make your own decisions. That's important. I see a lot of people wondering what other people are doing, and that's not the way to think about this. It's just human nature to, but it's wrong. You need to make decisions for yourself. Eric in Utah, what class wing did you start with? What wings have you flown, and what are you currently flying now? An I don't know what rating it was. It was a Paratoys original. We called it the Sky Slug. It was a dog. Could barely inflate it. It would fly, but it was old. I'm glad I learned on it because it made everything else easier. The first wing I bought was a Macpara Muse 3. Fantastic wing. Love that wing. What wings have you flown? I've flown a bunch, man. I fly anything that anybody will let me fly. I've done a bunch of demos. I'm sure if I tried to count, I would miss some. Bill, how big does a field need to be for you to consider as a spot to land? As I've gone through the sport, the sizes of the fields have gone down. It gets tighter and tighter and tighter. Go ahead and say it.
That's what she said.
Hold on, I have a phone call. This Kyle, can I help you? Again, the conditions determine it. I mean, if you have a motor out and you have to land somewhere, hopefully the one you picked is good for the conditions that are available. Clint, newbie question. You fly both PPG and free flight. Have you or do you use a crossover wing? What are your thoughts? Well, I started with a crossover wing. It was a Muse 3. I learned a free fly-in motor on it. It worked great for the first season. As your skills advance, you'll end up looking for something with a little more efficiency. So crossovers have their place. Richard Mayo, which wing are you currently using with the Nitro 200? Nothing's hooked to it currently, but I've got a Hadron XX 22 and a Hadron Original 26, and I fly those two on the regular. Lester asks, why is there a TV on your ceiling? That's so I can lay down in bed and watch TV looking straight up. Yeah, that's why. Jeff Roxid, I guess I'm saying that right. Carnitas or Al Pastor? Al Pastor, duh. Carnitas are pretty good too. I'm an Al Pastor junkie though. Thermal Flyer says, when I'm on my motor, I feel bumps more and it worries me. How should I go about getting more comfortable in stronger conditions when I'm flying my motor? Well, you're referring to bump tolerance. The only way to build your bump tolerance is to fly in bumpy weather. That's how I did it. I just progressed the conditions more and more and more, and I still sort of test them from time to time to see if I'm it gets to a point where the bumps just happen and you fly through them. Kyle, let me help you. George asked, which route am I taking north? I don't know yet. We'll see. The weather will determine the direction on that thing. That's all the questions I got for now. Keep them coming, guys. How do you get your in-flight speech so good? What do you use? Thanks, man. That was Millbrook, 1974. That probably puts you at, what, 43 years old, Millbrook? I use a little $10 microphone I bought on Amazon.com. So I put a little piece of tape in front of it, and then I plug it into the GoPro on top of my head. Direct drive versus clutch. I think clutches break. Direct drives, not so much. Anything I've ever had that had a clutch on it, the clutch eventually wore out or broke. So there you go. Pimple Queen 2, if you could invite 5 people from any time in history for beers and burgers, who you choose? I don't know. Probably pick people that had the love, maybe the love of flying, but not the ability. And I would have them for beers and burgers, and I would teach them how to fly so they could bring that back in history and advance the sport even more so that we would have more awesome stuff going on right now. We always feel like you're at the pinnacle of technology. We really are. That's always true. Nastify the X5 Xiffy. I have really big difficulty to understand what you're talking with the paramotor noise in the background. One example for perfect sound is Tucker Gott. Maybe ask him for hardware setup. I know what Tucker's setup is. He uses a Cena Bluetooth with a mic. I'm not interested in spending like several $100s on a setup like that. I'm really liking my $10 microphone. Sorry you can't hear it very well, but that's what I got, man. I picked up a bunch of teenage girl hitchhikers, and they're gonna come with me. They don't even know where they're going.
Hi.
Oh, that sounded exciting. Day 3 Q&A here. Rod Gunn, can you show and explain your LED light setup and how you installed it on the paramotor? Thanks. Well, I don't have it with me, obviously, but I just weaved it through the netting and plugged it to a 12-volt battery source. This is my brother. Hello, YouTube. He's bigger, but he's younger. Yeah, remember that. Sunday afternoon, we're going to eat tacos. My last taco run before the Paracarnival. So we're gonna make a family taco run. Get in some family time.